Hello.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're all doing well. I'm doing fantastic. I had a long day, but we're here now. Eric, how's it going?
It's going good, Mike. I'm looking forward to this. It's the last
Dude,
day of the mint, so it's a good thing we're meeting up, man.
no, absolutely. I think it's great. And so, how many hours do we have actually until the mint is over?
Let's see, 6 hours and 55 minutes remaining.
6 hours, 55 minutes, and 37 seconds. I'm checking on the website right now. I'm gonna share this. I'm gonna share the screen in a minute, but before we get there, Eric, how are things so far, man?
Good, man.
How are you
Good.
feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I mean, we were talking about this a little bit on the Spaces the other day. That was actually yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, man. Things are
Days
so
are flying
fast.
by. Maybe it was 2 days ago. But I'm so happy with how DragonX turned out. We're launching our NFTs, but even without that, I think DragonX is just perfect the way it is. The NFTs are just like a cherry on top for more advanced users. It's going to add some really powerful tokenomics, but overall, I'm just so proud of like my team, my dev team. They did a fantastic job. I'm proud of being part of this community, and I'm really proud of like the streamers who have, and just grateful to the streamers that have let me on. Like it all happened so fast, and it was executed so well by everybody, including the community and creators like you. And we all pulled it together, and now DragonX has been running for 2 weeks, which is insane. And
Great.
it's been working flawlessly. Like it's wonderful.
I mean,
I'm really happy.
Eric, you told me one thing. It was that you almost did not want to release it because you had a lot of fear.
Yeah.
Maybe at some point it was a bit more like irrational fear.
Oh yeah. It
How
was
was that?
irrational.
Why was it irrational? And how do you feel about that? I mean, it's. I mean, I know I'm a builder myself,
Mhm.
and I can sympathize a little bit. But tell us probably to the user, like, why were you scared, Eric?
um, yeah. It wasn't like fear as much as it was being nervous and hesitant, because even though everything was looking really good, our auditors were saying everything looked fine. You know, my dev, who I really trust, was also saying everything looks super fine. Um, but it's just the knowledge of, okay, this is something that we cannot change. This is something that once it's out there, it's out there, right? We're the first project, so we wanted to be something that was top tier. And anything that happened, I would have felt extremely bad, because it's my name, my face, my product, my design. I invented it, and I was and still am new to the community, right? So I kind of came in with this disruptive product, and I was advocating for the value it brought, and people were standing behind me. People who didn't really even know me were saying like, "Hey, man, we stand behind you. We stand behind what you're building and the ethos of it." Right. So all of those people were backing me up. So when I have that many people backing me up, then there's a huge, basically, burden of performance on me, right? And with the 28 day arriving, I did not want to give off the impression that we were rushing the project. Like, we moved at a very fast speed, but we did not sacrifice quality. And that's important to remember. So, but the perception of having sacrificed quality and rushed the product is something that I was aware of, something that I was just ruminating about throughout. And I would have happily, given up that 20-day. And this is something we can talk about. This is something we can talk about a little bit more, which is, oh, what happens when DragonX runs out? Oh no, the DragonX would run out. The reason I wouldn't be worried about the 28 days, because DragonX is here forever. It's not going away, right? Like, as long as there are mints occurring, DragonX is chewing on the TitanX price, is chewing on the DragonX price. So there isn't really like a reason to rush, even though it's a nice payday, right? It's a great way to start the project. It's still just one payday.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So, I mean, one thing I can tell you for sure is I did look at the code, right? I didn't go deeply into it, but I did check the GitHub. I mean, the link is available. Any
Yep.
developer can have a look, or anybody per se can have a look. There's also great documentation how you guys have how it works. I mean, one of the things I think I tweeted this out is like shout out to you guys, man. Like the documentation, everything was so clean in like good craftsmanship in some ways. Where I was like, oh man, these guys have put up the bar quite high. I mean, TitanX was also quite a high bar already. I mean, the design. I'm a very big like I like good design and good things which are just clean. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I was quite impressed when I saw the code and everything was really well documented. So shout out to you guys. I mean, um, like like what background does your team have? I mean, you must have learned this from somewhere, right? I mean, how did that come to be?
Yeah, good question. Like I alluded to before, my team is two brothers, two super smart brothers who work together like side by side, one on front end, one on back end. It's something that's so cool about the DragonX team. It's just like we're so tight knit. Like it's not it's I mean we talk constantly. It's not a typical office relationship. It's like we're like a brotherhood of three guys who build things. So it gives us a tremendous like competitive advantage because we can, these guys can sit down together and work as long as they need to get something done, and the rapport is obviously unmatched because they're brothers, right? Um, so our
Kevin is
lead
saying
dev,
family power.
family power. How can you beat that? I mean, it's tough to beat that, right? With the team, with any other team, because we just have these guys who are just like super smart, super dedicated, and they're brothers, So there's no barrier to communication. Um, yeah, our lead dev has been in software engineering for over a decade at least. Um, he comes from an automotive and manufacturing background, actually, and that's actually something yeah, family power. That's actually something that he touched. Sorry, I touched on. Sorry, I'm a bit tired. That's something that I touched on before in one of the streams. Because I believe, was it on this stream, Mike, that we were talking about this? How people with an automotive background and other backgrounds where people work on systems that can't be modified after they've been shipped.
Yes,
How the quality control processes are just so much higher on those.
yes, we had talked about that. It was in on the first stream or on the first interview we had. I talked a little bit about my background that I was a firmware developer building like
Right.
satellite systems,
Hmm.
and I was just saying like so working with like creating Solidity code. It's one of those things which is also like very similar to when you have built systems whereby once it's shipped you cannot recall it back because either well
Right.
people lose money or people in extreme cases they lose their life, which is like I don't know in like in like pilots or in planes
Right.
and stuff like that. So these are like high risk systems, they cannot fail. So in my opinion, Solidity code shipping something which is very high quality is similar to that.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. And I think that's one of the great benefits of working with the guys that I work with, because they just have that. Like we have, I think we had over 100 tests in our little code base. You probably saw that.
Yes.
It's a pretty constrained code base. Like and we had 100 tests, and I mean we were hammering that thing. And then we had 3 auditors, one auditing company, and then 2 independent auditors. So yeah, that's the thing about crypto development. It's people's money, Um, obviously, any team can make a mistake. Like I'm not saying that there are other teams that aren't good. Like our team can make a mistake. It's very high risk. Um, but the thing is,
I mean, that's why you had sleepless nights, right? Before the launch.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It's nerve wracking. And some of the hacks that can happen, they're just very, very subtle hacks.
Yeah.
And if you're just kind of wading into crypto and you're wading into Solidity development, you might miss some of those very subtle hacks that can occur. Like there were some comments today in the TitanX Dev chat, and people were saying they were getting frustrated, like they didn't have the support that they wanted or that they were struggling. It's like, guys, it's okay to struggle with this stuff. Like it's very complicated and the risks are very high. So
Yeah.
don't feel like dude, I wouldn't jump to trying to hack something together to make some money. I know you might be excited, but like take your time, learn it really well, If you haven't
Yeah.
done Solidity development before, find someone who has and pair up with them,
Yep.
right? And bring your concept to life with someone else, and learn along the way. Because if you hack together a product, it might be a really cool product. It might be a cool meme coin. It might be some other cool thing. But then if it gets hacked, that's a black mark, on the community, and it just kind of it hurts your ability to launch something else.
Yep.
And obviously these things happen. Like good teams also, they get hacked. Like it just happens. But it's not. I wouldn't, as a developer, rush to bring something to market.
I mean, that's
Like
why I'm not even thinking. Well, I have my own ideas, but I'm just like the pressure, man, to make things work. It's your name, your face, and yeah, the risks are quite high because I know from my background, it's like when something gets shipped and you cannot recall it back. Like there's high pressures. Let's put it that
oh
way.
yeah, it's really high pressure. And like I said, things happen.
Yep.
As a crypto investor, you need to be able to recognize it. Like it's risky on so many levels. Like look at what happened. It looks like maybe Warren Finance was just rugged, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's code that didn't break. Then it was at the developer level or at the, I mean, whoever had the liquidity pool just pulled it, right? We don't have to implicate anybody, but like whoever had control of the liquidity pool, some liquidity. So there's protocol risk, there's user risk, right? There's risk that everything's written perfectly and it just doesn't take off. Like there are so many risks in crypto,
Mhm.
and that's why it's kind of I think a lot of people they tend their crypto portfolios tend to be like a collection of kind of like home runs, and they haven't really thought about like all the risks around it. I think people should still hold the majors. I've said this before. I say this before to people that I advise. Like, don't be allergic to the majors just because the returns are lower. There are products where you can earn income. There are options products where you can get leverage on the majors. If you're all in on altcoins, make sure you pick a really, really good altcoin, because if you're just swinging your bat around trying to get a home run on a bunch of altcoins, you could end up with nothing at the end of the bull market. Whereas if you buy Ethereum and it goes up to $20,000, like that's really good risk reward, considering that Ethereum has been around so long.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, guys, today, I mean, as you probably hear today, is a bit more freestyle today. And why is it more freestyle? Well, because Mike was the whole day at work and he had to do shit and he couldn't prepare that well. That's why freestyle for today. I'm just saying. I'm going to share my screen very soon. Guys, I want to see some likes here. I see there's 78 of you guys out there. So don't miss out. Subscribe, like. I was told to say that because people don't do it. So I'm
Yeah, you
trying
should
to
tell people to
learn.
do that.
Yeah, that's what I was told to do. So there you have it, guys. So one thing I'm gonna do, Eric, is I'm gonna share my screen today, right?
Great.
Yeah. And shout out to Kevin. Kevin is he's putting out some stuff out there today. He's saying freestyle is where the good comes from.
What does
Absolutely,
that
man.
mean?
I agree with you. Shout out to Mackenzie. She's in the house. Lovely. So I'm gonna share my screen today. There you have it. Is that like? Can you guys see my screen? I think you guys can,
Yep.
but they cannot. I want. Hold on a second. Oh man, I'm doing too much here today. So anyway, I think you guys can see Eric and you can see the screen.
Yep.
So today, let's go through some few things today. The first thing, the most important thing, number one, today is the last day of minting the 1-to-1 ratio. Before we get there, Eric, there are some people who still do not understand DragonX. So before we even get to all this stuff, what was the problem and why is DragonX the solution? Let's start there because I think a lot of people still do not understand what was the problem and why is DragonX the answer or the potential answer.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I don't know if it classified as necessarily a problem, because I think the TitanX would have done great without DragonX. But I think that what DragonX does it enhances the system by taking Ethereum payout rewards and reinvesting them back into the project. as opposed to taking that Ethereum out of the system. So I think that the problem we're solving is that ETH is leaving the system, and it didn't need to leave the system, right? It can be directed. If enough people pool their funds together, they can direct those tokens back into TitanX, back into the chart, into the asset that we all came here for, and DragonX allows us to do that, and that's the purpose of the launch phase. We're a community. We're throwing money into this, basically contract decentralized, can never be taken out. And now as a community, we're running the functions that basically perpetuate this flywheel to absorb more and more TitanX into the system. So that's kind of the problem we're solving, is the ETH leaving. Now it's not leaving. Now it's staying in the system.
Lovely, yeah. Because this is the most important thing. Is like sometimes like people don't even know, or sometimes like even for myself, right? Is like, what is actually the problem, and why is this thing what I'm doing right now the solution? So I think you just summarized it perfectly fine, and that was the ETH was not being reinvested into like back to, like, let's say mining or anything like that, and now DragonX it solved that problem.
Yep. Another problem that DragonX solves is to get how can I say this?
Mhm.
To get the adoption of TitanX, you need inflation, right?
Yes.
To create miners, you need people put in Ethereum to create miners, right? To get access to the system. The problematic part of that is inflation means that you're fighting the inflation, right? Another thing that DragonX does is it gives you access to the same adoption mechanism as TitanX, but it does that through an asset that is capped, has a capped supply. So that's another benefit to the DragonX system.
Gotcha. So I mean, this is like something I think I said that yesterday in the stream. It was in the Twitter Spaces. If you ever listen to that, actually, by the way, listen to that. You might be more alphas on that space than today, but today is not over. So stick with us here, because Erik had told me something before we got started here. There's some interesting things you want to talk about, like towards the end of the stream, but we're gonna get there. So stay put. I'm out here, man. I'm tired today, but I think my mind is still sharp and I can hear Erik very well. So Erik, tell us here. We are on DragonX.win. Oh, okay. And I just realized I'm not sharing my screen, and I'm gonna do so now.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I still wanna see a little face there of you, Erik. So DragonX.win. People can visit the site, and then they can mint here some tokens. So explain to us here, okay, what is the minting process? Why do we have a minting process? Why should somebody give up their TitanX here to mint some DragonX? Why would somebody do that?
So yeah, as I said before, this is a
Mhm.
decentralized contract. In order to create this snowball of compounding stakes, the contract needs to incentivize people with an incentive token. This token is given to people who submit their TitanX to the system to perpetuate that compounding stake flywheel. The purpose of DragonX is basically to give someone the incentive to start the system up. So during the launch phase, this is the boot up phase. These next 12 months are when this project boots up. And the incentive for people participating is DragonX.
Gotcha. So, I mean, guys, as you can see, you can just mint your DragonX here. Just visit DragonX.win, and then you can enter the amount of DragonX which you would get, basically. So right now you have the mint ratio is 1-to-1, and then it's going to change. So basically, if you have, let's say, 1 million TitanX, if you mint today, you're gonna receive exactly 1 million DragonX for that.
Correct.
And it changes. So tomorrow, basically, in 6 hours and 36 minutes, it changes. And what is the ratio then? Actually, I mean, I I can pull up the white paper, but probably just tell me what's the change now in the ratio.
Yeah, you're going to get 5% less DragonX for every TitanX submitted. So it's 5% more expensive if you mint.
Gotcha.
And by the way, actually, for people who didn't watch the first stream and haven't been following DragonX too much until now, the system is designed to take the staking payout rewards, to buy Ethereum off the market for restaking, and to also buy and burn DragonX off the market through a TitanX DragonX liquidity pool. So that the burn is basically affecting TitanX and DragonX at the same time. So that incentive has potentially positive effects on the DragonX price, especially relative to TitanX because it's so tightly bonded. So that is kind of another reason why someone might mint. The system is not only designed to give out DragonX as an incentive, but it incentivizes holding DragonX by a buy and burn mechanic.
Gotcha.
And this is all done in a decentralized fashion. You can see the 4 functions being called below that basically create this deflationary flywheel for DragonX and compounding stakes. And up to now, about $6.5 million has been submitted into the contracts and staked.
Gotcha. So probably let's stick here. Okay, first thing we're gonna check the min ratio, which changes basically. And
Yep.
what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna visit titanxsub.com and then I'm gonna click on the white paper here, so that we can visit the white paper of DragonX. And then I'm gonna scroll down to find here. These are now the rates, which we on week 2, so the week 2 is just ending basically in 6 hours, and we have here 1-to-1 ratio. And tomorrow is 95% less, 90%, 85, all the way down to 50%. So,
Correct.
I mean, obviously, for most people, like who are a bit more advanced, they understand what this actually means. But a lot of people are asking me, who are probably a bit more on the beginning side, was how come the price is not moving? It's like, will the price move tomorrow when it changes? And what will the price be when it's on week number 12? So
Yeah.
can you talk about that?
Yeah, when moon is a very common question we get in chat. When moon.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I think that's a good question. So the reason why there's a 1-to-1 right now is because if the price of DragonX goes up relative to TitanX, someone can come in at a 1-to-1 ratio and mint more DragonX and sell the price back down to that ratio. So that's the reason why DragonX and TitanX are moving in such a tight band right now. But as the weeks go on, DragonX will become more and more difficult to obtain relative to the amount of TitanX you're putting in, right? So that means that you no longer can go in and arbitrage the price down to 1-to-1 without taking a loss, right? If you're doing it through arb. So we could potentially see over time, and obviously markets can be very irrational, right? But as the price increases, you would expect that the market price is going to adjust to these minting prices. And then by the end of the 12th week, then we're talking about it being, 1 TitanX for 1/2 of a DragonX. So it's twice as expensive. So things are gonna get more expensive to mint. How that plays out in the market, well, that's market dynamics. We can't fully forecast that, but there is a buy and burn for DragonX, right? That buy and burn is absorbing tokens. It's absorbing tokens at the 1-to-1 ratio. Right? That means there are fewer tokens at that 1-to-1 ratio. So that if people want to put more tokens on the market, then they have to mint. And they have to mint at a less favorable ratio. So the price may adjust, right? It may adjust. It may take some time. But it may very well come to be that they are. It's largely tracking this chart, but we don't know for sure, obviously. Yeah.
So theoretically, okay, go ahead. Sorry, Erik.
Yeah, a little piece of, actually, you go ahead first, and then I'll say the little piece of alpha that I have been hiding away.
I mean, if you hear the spaces we had yesterday, I was talking about the staircase, and so theoretically, if the price will adjust basically upwards, I mean, depending how you look at it, it can adjust upwards if you quote it in TitanX, let's say, right? Because you
Yep.
need, yeah, if I'm thinking correctly. So you're gonna have like a staircase theoretically, if
Theoretical.
that's the case, because you have like basically a fixed exchange rate. I mean, I don't know if if you know some of like third world countries when they do fixed rates to the dollar, and then you have the blue dollar rate, and then the blue dollar rate is I think the real one which you get on the street, and then the government say, especially in Argentina, let's say, that's
Mhm.
something. But anyway, probably this is a bit too far as an example. Um, but initially, so there's going to be a staircase up to 12 weeks theoretically, and then it's going to be free floating because now
Right.
there's not going to be any mint anymore, right? So the market will dictate what the real price is,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
I mean, is that correct? How I think about it?
Correct. Because the minting mechanism acts as a regulation on the how far the DragonX price can move away from the TitanX price, right? It's like a dictation, because someone can always come in and get it at that ratio, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it can be very irrational and move away. Like, I think the prices themselves right now aren't actually equal. What are they?
Mhm.
They're off.
I
Actually, they're
mean,
almost equal right now.
almost equal. I mean, we can just go on titanxup.com. We can actually see directly the prices which are here. So I don't know if you guys see. Let me probably zoom in a bit more, and we can see here. So it's 50 1049, and Dragon is currently a bit
It's a bit
higher.
more. Yep.
Yeah, just slightly, but depending, like I mean, somebody can arbitrage it right down basically, but it has to
Yep.
be economically, um, yeah, it has to be economically sufficient, or it's not even the right word, sufficient, right? But
Feasible. It needs to be feasible economically, or
yeah,
a rational decision.
it has to be a rational decision, and the rational decision is like you need to pay gas fees to do the minting and the selling and everything. But
Right.
if that makes sense, so this basically cannot go much higher. At some point, somebody will just arbitrage it down. And one
And I
thing
would love
which
to see, yeah, I would love to see someone do a chart that shows the divergence between the two, and the ratio changing. That would be an interesting one, just to see it visualized, because it is kind of a cool economic experiment.
absolutely, I think so too. I mean, I'm working on some things, but I cannot promise much because yeah, my output is somewhat limited to yeah, like my work. There's a lot of workload
Yep.
behind everything I'm doing, so trying my
Mhm.
best to keep up with everything, even this live views. Shout out to you guys, we got 105 people live,
Here we
so
go.
this is
Hey guys.
amazing. Yeah. So let me go through the chat here a little bit before we continue today, and that is okay, so somebody has a question here, which is, I'm not sure. Did I click the right question? No, okay. No, this is the question. So I saw this question. After 84 days, is the DragonX to TitanX exchange rate fixed at 1 to 0.5? Meaning, is that 100 million TitanX for 50,000 DragonX tokens? Seeking clarity on post 84 days swap ratio.
Yep. Good question. It's not fixed. There's no price fixing happening. It's not really possible in a decentralized world, right? The market's going to decide. So basically, what we have here is the reason why these prices stay next to each other right now is because there is that mint function, that minting capability that allows for the regulation because of a potential profit. But it's all happening in a decentralized fashion, right? Now, when that closes, no more DragonX will be minted. So the implications of that are that only holders have the DragonX at that point, right? So whatever mechanics, however the holders decide to treat the project, is what the price will do relative to TitanX, right? If all the holders decide that DragonX is worthless relative to TitanX, then the price will collapse relative to TitanX. Now, that's probably an irrational decision because there's a buy and burn behind DragonX. But again, it's going to be up to purely market forces, after the 84th day.
Nice one. And then he has another question following up with, will I get double if I hold? It's a great deal.
Nobody can tell you that. Nobody can tell you that.
Okay.
Like I said,
But,
it's a
I mean,
totally decentralized economic experiment.
okay,
We
fair
don't
enough.
know.
But I mean, just from the minting, like theoretically.
All we can say for sure is that
Mhm.
DragonX will be twice as expensive to mint. That's all you can say.
Okay.
You can't say that, yeah, you're going to be able to swap back and get double,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Because the liquidity will decide that, right?
Mhm.
Like if everybody, even if that does hit double, some people are going to avail themselves of that, and that ratio will probably not be that way at first. There's going to be a lot of volatility. So I can tell you, I can give you some pieces of alpha. We can go into that. But first, let me say hello to Cryptographics, who has joined the chat. Hey, man.
Oh, he joined the chat, man. Lovely.
Yeah.
All right, man.
What's up, man? I'm looking forward to streaming with you in the future. So that's on the calendar right now. I think it's February 6th. So, okay, what was I going to say? Yeah. So I founded another coin. I founded several coins, as you guys know. This is not my first rodeo. This is my first kind of like public position. But I founded several coins, and one of the coins had this mechanic. And the price volatility was insane after the peg was broken. It was insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's what happened on the past project. It will be interesting to see. It's an economic experiment. Like there's no guarantee of profit, guys. Like you can actually, this is the thing about crypto, and this is something that I was mentioning on the voice call. I think people think that this is a lot more controlled than it really is. Like a lot of the perceived control is actually due to like economics playing out, like economic theories that are sound actually playing out between supply and demand. Like the liquidity pool is the truth, guys. The liquidity pool has the money that you would switch from TitanX to DragonX. It's not possible for me to guarantee a return for you. The liquidity pool tells you how much is there to take and what the rate you're going to get it at is.
Great.
And I know with some people who are maybe new to crypto were asking, like, can I swap my DragonX? Right? Like, of course you can swap your DragonX. That's how crypto works. Like when
But
you take
which
DragonX
ratio is going to be
on the
the
contract,
question, right?
well, no, they were actually asking me if
Mm-hmm.
you could swap it at all, right? Or if it was convertible.
Oh,
And this is
okay.
also that Erik has said is I think people have a bit of a final. They have a how can I describe this? They have this thinking that it's kind of like this final decision to be in DragonX, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a terminal decision. Do I give up my TitanX for DragonX? There's a liquidity pool between the two. You can trade back, right? Like you can basically pump your own bags, pump the TitanX bag, pump the DragonX bag by submitting your TitanX, and then at a later time, when the price is favorable for you again, you can then just get. Well, I'm not saying you can just get it back, but you could if the price is favorable and you're willing to make the trade, you can get TitanX back for DragonX, or you can even trade at a loss. Like it's a decentralized liquidity pool. The liquidity pool is locked, which means that the contract can't move the money. There's no rug pull risk, but that doesn't mean the coins aren't coming in and out. Traders are still trading the ratios, right?
Yep.
So that's an important thing to remember, guys. Like this is, there's no guarantees in this system. It's just basically human behavior and economics playing out. And the other thing is someone was, what were they asking me? Oh, the other piece of alpha I'll give you is someone was saying, why is the DragonX buy and burn running like pretty hot right now?
Mm-hmm.
Are we concerned about aren't we concerned about it running out? Because don't like, isn't Erik gonna pump our bags at the end of the mint phase? Like what the heck? Ask yourself this. What is the best time like when is the buy and burn most effective? Right, for the longevity of the project, when is the buy and burn most effective? It's most effective when the price of DragonX is the lowest, because then you get the most coins off the market.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
So someone asked me that. Actually, multiple people have asked me that. Why are you running it so hot? Why is Genesis running it so hot? It's because why would Genesis want to take more expensive coins for the Ethereum when it can take what may be, and obviously nobody knows, but what may be the cheapest price for DragonX? It makes more sense to get more of the DragonX now, right? So that's a piece of alpha for you. I mean, recognize that there's a peg happening right now and what that might mean when that peg breaks. Now, it could break catastrophically lower, in which case the buy and burn was extremely ineffective, right? No guarantees. But if it breaks catastrophically higher, then it turns out that the Genesis actually got a great deal and absorbed a ton more DragonX than it will ever be able to do again. So that's kind of the thinking behind that.
I like you said catastrophically higher.
I think we can stairway to heaven before. Nobody knows, guys. I mean, this thing could absolutely nuke to zero any moment. So, and it's a decentralized contract that's basically playing out an economic experiment. So, like, you know, you're taking a risk, a big risk. It is what it is. But it's always fun to talk about, number go up and number go down and this kind of thing.
Absolutely. So, just for the people, what I want to do right now is like here, the buy and burn DragonX. There is currently $620,000 in there, 265 ETH. I'm just gonna copy this number and then just paste it in here. If that works, this is, as you've seen, guys. Today is a bit more. I'm gonna do something easier, which is I'm just gonna write 620K USD, which is currently sitting in the buy and burn, right?
Yep.
And if I just go back and look at the current swap, is 0.28 callable. I think right now is every hour or so, right?
If you hover over the button, you can see.
I can see.
Hover over the buy and burn DragonX button.
Oh, here.
Oh no, it says it right there. Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
That's the remaining time. Sorry, the hover is remaining time.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like, like that's the remaining time. But how far is like, what's the interval?
Yeah, the interval is down there in the gray. You were right. 53 minutes.
53 minutes. Okay. So we got for a current cap per swap is 0.28. So if we divide 265, I look, I heard doing math on stream is not a good idea.
No,
So
it's not.
maybe you know this number by heart. I'm not sure, but if you keep on going at this rate, when are we running out of the buy and burn? Do you know that number?
I don't even know that number off the top of my head.
Okay, fair enough. But I think,
It's not a big-
sorry, second.
No, nothing. Go ahead.
Okay. So I don't want to do math on stream here because I heard you're just gonna make you fool of yourself. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. And one thing I would like to do is you've explained a bit of liquidity, right? And we have here the TitanX web liquidity, and we have the TitanX DragonX liquidity. And probably explain a little bit more with some of this illustration here. How actually most people don't even know how liquidity pools work. Maybe can you go into that? Is that a good freestyle way how to explain this?
Yeah, I actually posted this in the chat because I think it's my job, like, to give the knowledge that I have. Like, I'm not saying I know everything, but I've been in the industry a while and I understand how this stuff works generally. And so I did post a pretty lengthy article about how liquidity works. I think you guys should everyone in my chat should read that. Like, it's important you guys understand the underlying nature of the market and how people are gaining and losing, like, coins, right? Like, how is a rug pull even possible? It's because there's a finite amount of money in the pool, right? That people are trading. And there's an algorithm called constant product that is basically determining the amount of coins you can get out as you trade between the pair. Sorry, it represents a price curve. Like it's a really cool way of representing a price curve and of enforcing a price curve on a set of assets in a decentralized fashion that doesn't require an order book. Like another thing that I showed in the chat was like a typical order book, right? Which is a bunch of orders that are all converging on a market price. And that's actually the price that's being exchanged on the market. And then you have all these other orders that are not being exchanged because the buyers and the sellers haven't agreed to that price, right?
That's great. Yeah.
You can create something similar. Basically, you can create something similar on chain by using what's called the constant product formula, which basically shifts it basically creates a price curve that's derived from the ratio of two assets in a pool. So that's how the prices are being determined, and that's why the liquidity being bonded between TitanX and DragonX is so important. Because if the ratio of TitanX if the DragonX price is based on the ratio of DragonX coins to TitanX coins, then you can say pretty confidently, and this is something actually I got called out about, which I thought was funny. It's like, okay, you obviously don't understand how liquidity works. Because like if there's a finite asset in a pool with an inflating asset, then it's very likely, especially a finite asset that has somewhat programmed scarcity over the course of 12 weeks. Like this asset is designed to appreciate against the underlying. It's designed to trade above the underlying, right? It's a store of value on the underlying. Like it's for the underlying. So it's not even like a bombastic or egotistical claim to say that DragonX is like going to outperform TitanX. It's like the price is derived from the underlying value, and one of the tokens, the price is derived from the ratio of tokens in the pool, and one of those tokens has an increasing supply, and one of them has a fixed supply, right? It's just logical. So people should definitely read that article, how Uniswap works. I think that will help clarify things for them. But yeah, that's kind of like how you get the derivative aspect out of this, right? Like it wouldn't be a derivative if I just locked this in an ETH pool. If I did Dragon ETH, it's a derivative because it's so tightly bonded to the TitanX, and it basically has different tokenomics, which reduce the supply relative to TitanX in the pool.
Totally understand. Yeah, I mean, this is also one of the reasons I created a video about liquidity, and I explained it. I tried my best to keep it as easy as possible. And look through my YouTube. I don't remember exactly what the title of the video is, but I'll probably just put in the description after we finished here. And this is just something very important. I mean, one of the things I said even yesterday regarding this, if you just compare something which is inflating and then it's trading with something which has a cap supply, obviously the demand must be there. That's obviously like taking away from the demand. One of the reasons, let's say, why I don't know, the Bitcoin is pumping, obviously. I mean, there's obviously market psychology and cycles. That's a bit more different, I guess. But just looking at the supply there is the dollar, which is a currency which is ever inflating, and you're trading something like Bitcoin, let's say, which has a cap supply. So just in theory, if there is demand for Bitcoin and it's traded against the dollar, which has the biggest liquidity, one thing has to go up. Like just theoretically, something has to go up. Taking away the market psychology and everything else away from that, and obviously demand has to be there, because without demand, then there is no. But value gets created, or if there's scarcity, and then demand for it. So demand has always to be there. But yeah, apart from that, TitanX is inflating, because every time you start a miner, that's how you create your new coins, basically, right? I mean, at some point in the beginning, there was 0, and now we have, I don't know how many supply we have right now. Just don't have the numbers in my head. But yeah, this is like something very similar. In the beginning, there was 0 Bitcoin, and then now there's around, if I'm not mistaken, around 19 million, and there's ever going to be 21 million. So the mechanism of getting from 0 to today 19 million is through mining, which is proof of work, but I mean they have to do real work. Like on TitanX, we're doing more virtual mining, which is just with ETH plus time. But nevertheless, I'm rambling too much. Erik is here to give us the alpha. Why am I rambling so much? Actually,
So that's good. No, yeah, I mean, I'm seeing some comments like, I think there's still some outstanding FUD. Like, I don't want to spend the whole time addressing FUD. Like, I think people are way too focused on like potential downsides.
Mhm.
One thing I'm seeing is, oh, the minting is so low. The minting is so low. It doesn't matter. Like, as long as some mints are coming in, we're good. That's what people need to understand. Like, we have higher mints than, so there was an initial hype chart where like there were a ton of mints and then it basically died.
Mhm.
And then we had the huge adoption wave there where we went up to like 3,000 ETH in one day. We're above that first dead period now. Like it's already starting to climb out of that. And there's no reason why. So basically you're still getting buy and burn, right? You're getting buy and burn relative to the amount of inflation. Basically, it's a delayed process because there was more inflation already, right? There's less inflation coming out in the future. So the inflation is getting reduced, but the buy and burn is still working. So you could have this system work with the amount of minting we have now. You absolutely could, especially with all the projects launching.
Lovely.
And I actually think that V1, V2, and V3 buy and burns, so DragonX and the V1 and V2, they're perfect right now. Like, I mean, you could even drop them a little bit more. Like, why have them so high? They're guardians of the system, right? I mean, the reason why the DragonX buy and burn is more aggressive is because it wants to get those shares. But V1 and V2, they have no reason to be aggressive, right? They would rather nibble on cheap TitanX and just, there's no reason why, for example, there is no reason why V1 and V2 can't just operate at a replacement rate, right?
Gotcha.
They can just operate at the replacement rate of the Ethereum and just continue to burn TitanX as long as there's any mining happening. I don't think people realize that. I think that's something of a bit of FUD, right? Because the V1 and V2 were so active in the beginning, and they were consuming huge amounts of inflation, right? People got this idea that like the buy and burn needs to be this absolute inferno all the time. But actually, I would say that period is probably over, especially with all of these other projects coming on. Like the purpose of the buy and burn is to be a guardian and to reduce inflation consistently over time, right? To get us to that deflationary point on a longer time scale. So as other projects come out, like for example, DragonX is relieving some of the burden that V1 and V2 had on them, right? So then there's going to be other projects, right? Like Titan Blaze and TitanX Market. And those are going to absorb even more of the supply, right? So the burden on the V1 and V2 is just going to decrease. So it can just be there in the background. It can just get really great prices on TitanX, absorb it off the market from the weakest hands, and then just set higher and higher floors. And it can do that at an almost replacement rate, guys. Like this is something that I don't see people saying. Like, spread the word about this. Like there is absolutely no reason why you can't have a set of buy and burns that just operate at replacement, which means they never really run out. They're just being replenished and burning more and more TitanX over time, right?
Nice one.
Yeah.
Nice one. By the way, Erik, nice hat you have today. Yeah, just
Thanks, man.
no worries. So anyway, I have something here.
I told it.
It's good. Yeah, I mean that's why I was like, man, I was listening to you give me the alpha. I was like, man, you got a nice hat there today. Anyway,
Thanks.
JD
I don't know
saying,
what hat I had. Was it an orange hat? I can't remember.
I'm no, man, it seems like some time ago. But anyway, JD saying, yes, 35 days till we burn all the money, not even half the way to mint end.
This guy's always fudding this. This is actually the guy who brought the question up.
Oh,
Like-
is that him? Okay.
Yeah, he's always bringing this up.
All right. Well, I
How
guess
much?
I
How much
don't know
did?
him.
How much did Genesis get today? Another
Ex-
25 ETH.
Exactly. And that's why I wanted to go exactly to that point. The reason why I brought this up was, guys, we have here the TitanX McDean, which I created. And today actually is the 8-day payout. So the reason why I bring this up is how much did DragonX receive today? We got 25 ETH coming in, basically. So if even if 35 days until we burn all the money, first of all, there's going to be well, today there's 25 more ETH which came in, and 8 days
Right.
later there's going to be one more, and then we have a double payout cycle, day 8 and day 28.
And then it will be probably 100 ETH in the next 28-day payout cycle, right?
I
So
mean, I mean, I'm just showing this so that people can actually know, like, okay, this is what's going to happen. It's just like, it's not like, okay, it's going to run out and then there's not going to be any payouts. There are payouts which are still coming up, and one of them is a double payout. If you remember correctly, we had another double payout in which that was on day 56, and now we're going to have another one, which is going to be day 112, which is going to come up. So I just want to make people aware that that is the case, that the ETH is going to be coming in, basically. And we just saw today that the 25 ETH, which is 60K, which came in.
exactly. And the thing about, even if both vaults are totally exhausted, that's fine. Like, especially, I mean, for DragonX, if the TitanX and DragonX mine burn vaults are exhausted, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be more payouts. This isn't the end of the system. As long as TitanX keeps getting mints,
Yes.
then we will, like, the Ethereum is going to continue to enter into our contract, right? So it doesn't matter if it all gets exhausted right now. It just doesn't matter, because this is a derivative on top of, it's a derivative for TitanX adoption, right? It's monetizing TitanX adoption. It will receive Ethereum as long as the system runs. So ask yourself, based on what I said before about how 1-to-1 may be the cheapest possible rate for DragonX, wouldn't you want the DragonX Genesis to be aggressive during that time? It seems to me like you would, and then maybe later it drops to a replacement rate. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that answers the question. Like,
Yeah, I think so too.
There's nothing left to
I
talk
think so
about.
too. So what I did was I scrolled down a little bit more, and then I went to basically day 369, and there's going to be a 369-day payout. Why did I scroll it so much? Because I'm going to visit app.titanx.win, and then we're going to go to the payouts, and then we can look how much it's in there in the 369. In the last interview we did, right, I had thought that you guys are going the stake of DragonX is going to be around 10%. The reality is it was 23%. So
Yeah.
and you had you had said like probably around 20%. I think that was your prediction.
Yeah.
And the reality was 23%. So you're definitely near to the prediction than I was. But one thing I want to ask you is, we have the 369 day coming out, which is obviously a little bit, there is some time until we get there.
Yeah.
But there is currently 5.7 million in there. So now ask you another question, which is, how much of the percentage do you think you're going to have to grab this 5 million here or DragonX to capture?
Yeah, I would say probably 50%, maybe more.
50%.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Because by then Shogun will be out. Actually, does anybody know? I don't even know the current share, like the current share pool ownership of DragonX. Does anyone know that? If you could put that in the chat, because it's changing all the time. But it's probably over. Is it over 30% right now? I mean, come on.
I think it should be
If it's over 30, then the snowball is just, it's going to be compounding and compounding, and by the time we get around to 200 something days from now, Shogun will be out. All those stakes will be out. It could easily be, like Adam said, 75%. It could be 50, 60,
75%.
70%.
Damn.
You know,
Okay. Now, since we're here, this is a live stream. I'm gonna do my own prediction. I'm gonna say 52.5.
okay.
And we're going to find out who's going to be near. But one thing I would like to say is regarding the percentages. I'm working on something. I'm a bit slow, guys. Just hold up. I'm doing my best. But one thing we have here, I can tell you for a fact, on the 90-day payout. By the way, guys, on the TitanX Google Sheet here, I'm putting some new stuff here on the comments. And one of the comments I put was like here, DragonX launched. That was January 18, 2024 at midnight UTC plus 0 or GMT plus 0. And for all the programmers out there, I put in the timestamp as well, so that if you need that one. And then I can tell you for sure on the 90-day payout, there was a total of 2,409 ETH in the pot. And DragonX received 560 ETH of that. And that is 23.25%. So apparently, since that day until today, that rate went a little bit higher. It seems like 30%.
34% according to JD.
According to
It's
JD,
amazing.
34%.
That's so good.
Shout out to
Yeah.
you, JD, man. You're way more prepared than I am. So, by the way, somebody sent a super sticker, $4.99. Lovely, man. Thank you very much, man. Shout out to you, Tank Will.
34%, guys. It's been around for 2 weeks. See, this is why, like, I'm also like so impressed by what we've done with DragonX. You know, like it's exceeding all expectations. You know, it's exceeding my expectations. I think it should be exceeding your expectations, guys. Like, this is really awesome. 34%. We're definitely going to be 50 by then. We're probably going to be 70% by then.
70%. Oh man, that's crazy. That's definitely crazy. So I'm just gonna think it's like 52% is gonna be probably a good one. So the reason why you say Shogun, guys, Shogun is one of the projects. If you're new to TitanX, visit titanxhub.com, titanxhub.com. This is a site which I made. And yeah, it was just a pain for me to see all these projects. What are they building? Has it white paper or not? That's why I created this site. So that's also for you. And we have Shogun here, and that is going to burn the TitanX stakes. So why Erik said that they're gonna be more probably 50%. He adjusted his number to 70 now, is because of Shogun. So tell us, like, I mean, why do you think Shogun will have an effect on DragonX?
Well, the idea behind Shogun is that you will be able to burn your stakes and you will receive a token for burning. So if you're burning your stakes, then you're eliminating your position in the share pool, right? So by eliminating your position in the share pool, existing stakers will gain a larger share. So all of our max length stakes are just going to be a larger and larger portion of the share pool. It's really great for DragonX. Yeah, so that could be the full just success realized of the DragonX protocol at that point.
Lovely. Adam is just saying because people like me will leave the staking class altogether.
Right. And because DragonX came in and started this system, like, people are more incentivized to leave. I mean, I think they're still probably making
competitive now, right?
actually. But for people who were absolutely making absurd amounts of Ethereum and now they're making more reasonable amounts, like if they don't want to take that anymore, they can basically avail themselves of this exit, which is Shogun. Yeah.
So Zebra has his own thing. By the way, guys, keep holding. There is more to come because Erik is going to explain to us today. He has another project coming up. So we're looking forward to that. So don't forget, Zebra, shout out to you, my friend. Many people will burn the stakes with Shogun. DragonX might hit 80% in the staking pool. So,
yeah, it's crazy to think about it too, but it absolutely may happen. I mean, think about it. In 2 weeks, we've gotten to 34% in 2 weeks. there's still 10 more weeks of this phase where TitanX is not even compounding alone yet. It still has the help of the community to build it. I'm sorry, where DragonX isn't compounding alone. It's
Yeah.
just like, it's going to be crazy. I mean, we could hit 60% by the end of this 10 weeks. You know,
Damn.
because you have the compounding of the Ethereum plus the community getting in.
Mhm.
So it could be quite crazy. And then once it's over, yeah, a lot of people might just burn for Shogun.
Nice one. So,
Yeah. That just
Erik,
perpetuates. Sorry, Mike. That just
go ahead.
further perpetuates the success of TitanX. Like, what that's going to do is it's going to put so much Ethereum buy pressure into TitanX that will greatly increase miner profitability. Right, so you're going to see those number of miners go up, and the whole system, the boats are just going to all rise together, right? When the TitanX price rises, so it's going to be really cool to see.
Nice one, nice one. So let's jump a little bit now here, and we're gonna go to now your new project. I'm seeing we are peaking right now with
Which one?
121. Yeah, which one? That's even the more interesting question. But I think you had mentioned yesterday something about NFTs, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
one thing about NFT is, I think if you listen to yesterday's spaces, we went a little bit about, okay, what are NFTs, what there's like art NFTs, and then there's utility NFTs. And the project you're working on is a bit more on the side of utility.
correct.
Yeah. So probably just to keep it simple for now, what is the problem and why is the new project the answer or the potential answer?
Yeah. So this was a really, really brilliant insight by the lead DragonX Dev. He's been in a bunch of different protocols on a bunch of different chains, and he keyed into this project called Bozo Finance, which is basically it's called a NFT token hybrid model, where users can basically compose NFTs and collateralize them using a token. And as the adoption of the token goes up, it gets more and more expensive to create NFTs because the price is going up and the number of holders is increasing. So when an NFT gets redeemed and the underlying tokens get sold, it gets distributed into the hands of more users, which means, well, it doesn't necessarily mean that, right? It's all a big experiment, but it means it theoretically gets harder and harder to mint new NFTs. So the floor price of the NFT keeps going up.
Is the NFT, are the NFTs limited?
The NFTs are, I think they are limited, actually. No, actually, I think they're not limited. I think it's basically if you compose the NFT out of the tokens, but as the tokens become more valuable, you need more economic energy to create the NFT.
Okay. Is there a white paper ready actually?
There isn't. I didn't really see one, but there is a frequently asked questions is pretty extensive.
Okay,
On their
okay.
site.
But I mean, regarding your project itself, like, I mean,
Yep.
you're just gonna copy or you're gonna fork Bozo
No,
Finance.
no, we won't be forking anything. Actually, the interesting part is the insight that the DragonX Dev had, which is that unlike Bozo, where there isn't a built-in deflationary mechanism, it's only done through adoption and price appreciation. We have the deflationary aspect of DragonX built in because of buy and burn in a cap supply. So the price of DragonX is constantly being bought up, theoretically, obviously, but the number of tokens on the market is constantly being reduced. You can say that. And because of that, the NFTs will become inherently more scarce over time, right? Because there's less and less DragonX to compose the NFT. And I think that's a really, really genius way of thinking about it, because it's not just market-driven scarcity; it's actually like token scarcity. It can be more. It's more deterministic, and it lends itself so well to our protocol because we are a store of value for TitanX, right?
Yes.
That's like what DragonX's value proposition. I mean, you can cut it so many different ways, but one way you can cut it is that you're getting all the adoption of TitanX without the inflation, right?
Yep.
So that gives us a store of value position. So because one of the things the NFTs can do is the tokens are in there, they're not burned. So people can redeem the NFT for tokens. And because of that, it's a new way of trading what is a store of value, right? A token that's a store of value. It's a new way of trading something that is a store of value. So because of that, it's great for people that have large DragonX positions. They don't have to sell on market, right? They can exit through an NFT market.
Okay, so let's do a little step back here, guys. So I think so the problem is if there is a whale in the system and he wants to sell. The way you have to do this is through Uniswap basically. And if you have a large position and if you just click sell on Uniswap and you have a large position, the price is just going to go extremely low if you are a big whale. Now there's this new system which you guys thought about, and you're landing some of these thought from Bozo Finance. And this is a new way now how maybe somebody with a big position could exit. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there'll be different tiers of NFT, as you saw in the white paper. So it's not just for big whales. It's for anyone who wants to do basically store their DragonX in a different form and allow for OTC trading.
Okay.
But it just really perfectly complements the DragonX token because of the deflationary nature and the store of value nature of DragonX. So let me preface this by saying this is kind of a pro feature. Like DragonX is perfect the way it is, and if you just want to hold the token, like that's totally fine. You're not at a disadvantage by doing that, in my opinion. But I just think this is a really brilliant addition that people can avail themselves of if they want to.
Gotcha. And I mean, the thing is, Erik, you just mentioned something like an OTC deal.
Mhm.
Okay, people are new, man. Like, what is an OTC deal? NFT. I thought these are JPEGs, pictures. What are you talking about, man? Erik, tell us what is an OTC deal? And
Over the counter. It means over the counter, which is basically like you can imagine two people in a room, or like let's say you're Satoshi and you have all these coins. You have 1 million coins, but you know that if you sell on market, you'll destroy the market because you have so many coins and you're Satoshi. So if you ever sell, that like risks the project. You can go to someone and say, hey, like I'll give you my keys for $1 billion, but you have to sign a contract that says you can't move the coins. So then you're trading the keys. So the keys are being traded around, right? So did Satoshi sell his Bitcoin? Who knows? Maybe he just sold the private keys. I don't know. It's just an idea. But
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say is that it's similar to this. The tokens are locked up, right? They're locked up. They're collateralized into this NFT. Now you can sell the NFT. The tokens aren't moving. And the person who wants to redeem the NFT, they get the tokens, but they don't even need to redeem. They can just hold the NFT. They get the price appreciation of DragonX. And when they're ready to exit, they can exit through an NFT market.
So essentially, this is like a peer-to-peer
It's
system.
peer-to-peer, yes.
Yeah. So I mean, this is like very yeah, now thinking out of the spot, freestyle today, guys. So if I was prepared, I would have drawn something very nice so that you can understand it. But I'm going to make a video, guys. So essentially is a way how somebody could sell a position peer to peer without using the market, and the market at this in our understanding is Uniswap, basically. So essentially, imagine like a Michael Saylor who is basically just buying Bitcoin like crazy. If he would just go, if I had whatever, I don't know, X amount of Bitcoin, and then I just talk to Michael Saylor, I'm like, hey, buddy, I have this much Bitcoin. I can give it to you at this price. and then I just transfer those to him, and he just gives me the money. So there's no, I didn't go through Coinbase, I didn't go through Coinbase, and I didn't go through whatever Kraken or like whatever you're using as an exchange. So essentially, this is you're enabling ways how somebody could exit peer to peer without going through Uniswap. That
Yep.
is essentially how things go, right?
And in DragonX, I don't want us to be shaming sellers. Like, it's their money. Like, it's fine to sell on market. Market trading is totally acceptable. I've been in communities where people are like totally bashing people who sell. It's like, guys, it's a highly volatile market with low liquidity. Like, if people sell, it's going to hurt in the short term, but in the long term, you get them out, and that's what you want. Like, if people are going to sell, let them sell. You do not want deferred selling, and this is actually something that I was mentioning in the spaces, Mike.
Yes.
Like, I think people have a lot of misconceptions about crypto and about some tokenomics, and I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that staking is necessarily a good thing, and that tokens should all have staking. I disagree, and I'm not saying that all projects that have staking are bad. Absolutely not. There's obviously a place for staking. Like, I think staking definitely supports TitanX, for example, especially since Jake had the foresight to recognize some of the dark patterns in staking, and people are issued ETH instead of issued TitanX, right? But staking kind of creates a staker class, and a staker class is not necessarily the same class as the people who are selling. So it creates animosity, and it creates basically a schism. Is that how you say that word? Schism. I don't think I've ever said that word before, but yeah, it creates two groups, right?
Mm-hmm.
So staking isn't all, it's not all rosy, right? The other thing about staking is it's basically deferred sell pressure. Like, you're basically buying the freedom to push the more selling at a higher price later, right? That's the trade-off.
Gotcha.
And the reason why a lot of protocols do that is because who knows if their project will even last 3 years, right? So they don't care, right? Like, and that's why there's no staking in DragonX, because if people are going to sell, let them sell, let them murder the price, then they're out, they have no more sell pressure, and then we can go higher. And the beautiful thing is you don't have to sit there and think, oh man, look at all these stakes coming due. Boy, this is a big problem for us, right? Because the stakes aren't there, because there are no stakes. So those people will probably sell at a much lower price.
So you're shaking out the non-believers. Is that what
Shaking
you're
up and
saying?
off. Yep.
Is that what you're saying? You see?
I mean, I'm saying people are more likely to sell at lower prices, and that's great for them. People are free to take profits, right? So let's have those people take profits when they're ready to take profits, instead of taking profits when they're desperate to get out of a project, right? Or when they, when the price is 100x higher.
Yeah. So I have one thing here, one comment, and it says it's a way of diamond hands taking off lettuce hands without hurting market price. As a question now, is that a statement or a question?
Yeah, maybe it is. I mean, it definitely has that effect for sure, but it's a way for diamond hands taking off lettuce hands. Wait, what is this referring to?
I mean, well, you know what? We're just gonna jump this because I'm not so sure which
I
context.
mean, diamond hands shouldn't need staking,
Yeah.
right? And if lettuce hands are locking, then they're going to sell as soon as they can unlock. So that's what I have to say about that. And the question: can you convert an NFT back to DragonX? Yes,
Exactly.
it's redeemable for DragonX. Like, the coins are there; it's not a burn. The other thing is, so there will be a small fee to create the NFT, which creates a. And by the way, that fee is the DragonX is burned and the TitanX goes into the vault. There's no dev profits on this whatsoever, right? It's just an addition to the system. Like, we're not getting royalties or anything like that. Like, so, but yeah, but basically, there is a small fee which we just have there to buffer against like potential game, like manipulation or whale games. Like if you're a whale and you want to come in and you want to dump a bunch of DragonX without ever buying it, then this mechanism basically makes that a lot less efficient, and you push the DragonX price up in the process. So we basically added that. I don't think Bozo Finance has that, but it also will create a bit of a price bump in NFTs in general because you have to pay a little bit more than market to get them.
Oh, I see.
But yeah,
So,
but
Mhm.
it is convertible back to DragonX. Yes.
Okay, so let me probably just try to understand this here. So probably even for the viewers out there is, let's say you're holding DragonX right now, right? And then your new project, is there a name for it already? Can I, or
The NFTs,
yeah, or just NFTs,
DragonX
DragonX
hybrid.
NFTs.
DragonX hybrid.
Oh, DragonX hybrid. You see?
Yeah.
So let's just go through the process here, right? I mean, I'm holding DragonX tokens, and you're gonna launch the project, right? So what is the first thing I can do as a user? It's like I'm thinking like, you know what? I'm going to whatever. Let's say I have 100 million DragonX in my in my MetaMask. What are the options for me? So I can create these NFTs. So how does it work out? Like probably take me through the process. Like okay, creating one and then maybe selling it. Like what is that process? How does that look like?
Yeah. So there will be new functionality on the DragonX website. Users can go to there, and they will have the option to select between different NFT tiers. Those NFT tiers will have different basically balances you submit into the DragonX hybrid bridge contract, which holds the DragonX like in escrow basically, and that will basically issue the contract will issue an NFT to a user after they pay the fees, right? They need to pay a few fees to
Are
do
the
that.
fees are the fees in DragonX denominated in DragonX
There's a
or
DragonX fee and there is a TitanX fee.
oh,
There's a
okay.
DragonX fee on exit
Hmm.
and there's a TitanX fee on entering.
I see. Gotcha.
Yeah, and so the DragonX gets burned, and the TitanX goes into the DragonX vault to be restaked.
So the fees you mean gets burned, right?
The fees, the
Yeah, yeah,
DragonX fee gets burned. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The DragonX itself is just locked in the escrow.
The DragonX that the user submitted as value is locked in it's locked to be withdrawn later.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the principal is not burned.
Okay.
The point is that the principal is tradable via an NFT, but it will always be redeemable for the underlying if the user is willing to pay the fees.
Understand.
Yep.
Okay. So
So
okay.
yeah, so
So
basically
now,
that's the user
Mhm.
flow. That's the user flow. And then if you want to redeem it, there'll be a place on the site for you to basically burn the NFT and receive the DragonX back. And then on secondary markets, actually, do you want to go to the show, see what the Bozo is happening on the Bozo market?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have the Bozo. I have it here opened. The website. It's bozo.finance. Where should I
Click
go
buy
to?
NFT. Click buy NFT.
Buy NFT. Yep.
Yeah.
It takes me to a new site,
Click
which is
buy
Magic.
NFT. Right there.
Yeah, we
Oh,
have it.
I think we're delayed. Here we go. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
So you can see here. So this is basically the market, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can see now the cheapest NFT available is 300 Solana. What's crazy is like a few weeks ago, it was like 22 Solana for one of these. It's insane.
What
But
coin have they locked?
Bozo.
Oh, they've locked their own token.
Yeah. So basically, the entire game theory. I mean, I shouldn't say the entire game theory. I'm not an expert on this, right? Our DragonX developer is the inventor of DragonX Hybrid, not me. But as far as I understand it, it's a way of basically creating two trading markets that basically have arbitrage between them, and this creates an opportunity for the NFTs to become deflationary as the price goes up, because it's harder and harder to get them. As they get minted, they get the Bozo gets sold, and then it's distributed. New buyers come in, they take the Bozo away, so it costs more to create the next Bozo NFT, right? That increases the floor price, excuse me. That increases the floor price of the NFT, which is, I mean, it appears to be working quite well. I think that because we actually have inherent deflation built into DragonX, I think it's going to be successful. I do. Like, I think it's a really, really strong fit for our project. And I think it's kind of like the perfect capstone for DragonX, because as I've said, like, DragonX just, it hits the mark so well. And this is just like a great capstone on top. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So probably just to what I said yesterday on the Twitter Spaces is regarding NFTs. For most people, NFTs are like, oh, I know these pictures, NFTs, but probably let's just try to explain it a little bit to the viewer out there. I think I did a quick example yesterday, which was, I think, quite illustrate. It was pretty good, I think, and that is NFT is just a receipt or a proof that you have done something, let's say, right? So for instance, imagine there is a shop which stores gold, and you can bring your gold there, and then you get a receipt which is a unique receipt basically from that shop which stores your gold. So you bring it there, let's say, I don't know, let's say 1 kilo of gold, and then you get a receipt which says 1 kilo of gold. And then imagine now, you can that receipt basically, right, it's a unique, it's unique, and you can also sell that receipt, let's say, right? Because if somebody else brings that receipt back to that shop, they will just give me back the gold, because that's like, you have shown proof that this was stored here, and now you're bringing it back basically. And NFTs is basically just that. And the picture in NFTs come into, imagine that receipts now, pictures are just attached to that. Now
Yep.
you're selling that receipt to somebody else, and now there's just a nice picture on it, and that's NFT. And probably people who like art is like, well, I like that art, and I like that picture, and now that page can be sold because it's just a unique receipt. So
Yep.
yeah.
And I mean, it is also going to be artwork. Like, we have a designer he's a great designer, and he's actually doing the artwork for it. So
So there's going to be utility with a nice picture. So the receipt, the receipt is like, hey, there is 100 million DragonX, and you have a nice picture, which we can see here. For instance, Bozos have also, they all look the same on Bozo, right?
I think maybe they just have one image. I'm not sure.
Oh man, yeah. So there's going to be more.
We'll have different tiers. We have different NFT tiers based on the amount of DragonX you want to lock in there. So we'll have 5 different basically pieces of art with the token value and other like metadata on the NFT. So yeah, it's also a collectible. I mean, it's a collectible, right? NFTs are non-fungible tokens.
Mm-hmm.
They adhere to a specific standard, and they can be used for lots of different things. It's not just about art. I mean, art is one great use case, but there's functional uses to an NFT. Like, for example, I was saying this on the space. Uniswap V3 LP positions are represented by an NFT. So we're dealing with that right now with one of our top secret projects for Jake.
Are you going to reveal the secret today, or what's going on, Erik, man?
That's all I'll give you for that. But yeah, we have, let's see, what do we have? We have this. Mm-hmm. We have DragonX for Hyper.
DragonX for Hyper as well.
We have, and then 2 top secret projects.
Damn, man, you're giving us too much here, man. It's like I you know, when I saw you writing that on Twitter, what I answered was like, man, people haven't even digested DragonX yet, and you're giving us more.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But it's got to be built. Like, this stuff's got to be built. You know.
So Erik just mentioned regarding NFT positions. If you provide liquidity, Uniswap basically gives you liquidity, and that's just a receipt showing that you have provided liquidity, because you transfer your ETH or whatever you are giving, you're giving, you're providing liquidity at, and then they just, so that the internal system knows who has provided what, they have to give you a receipt, and when you bring that, and that receipt or that NFT, you can transfer it to other people. For instance, there are marketplaces. If you provide liquidity on some specific tiers, let's say, you can go with that NFT and get a loan. I know that for a fact that that happens. So if, for instance, if you are on ETH USDC, let's say, which is like a very high liquid pair, if you provide liquidity on that pair, and depending how high it is, that receipt basically, which is, you're seeing here, this is the NFT which I got when I was providing liquidity for TitanX and ETH. This was, by the way, this was the video showing you guys how to do liquidity providing. I think that's one of the videos I did, and this NFT was, this is the what I got from them. So it's a nice looking NFT, man. Erik, right?
Yeah. I mean, our NFT will have, you can see it has some data there, ID and other things.
Yes.
We'll have that.
Will we
on
have?
the
We also have this moving thing here, because I like it, man.
No, that wasn't in the plan. What is that?
All right. No, this is just some
An ID, is that like
metadata.
it's an address?
It's just I
It's a
think
wrapped
it's,
Ethereum address, I think.
yeah,
TitanX and wrapped Ethereum addresses. That's pretty fancy.
yeah, it is very fancy, man. I looked at it, I was like, damn, man, these NFTs are nice.
Yeah, it's definitely cool.
This is, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I can't even read that. Like, we don't have that in ours, but it's fine. We have a cool
Yeah.
piece of artwork that represents each tier, and
Lovely.
so yeah, it's a combination of art and functionality. It should be cool.
Lovely. So, come on, man. Enantial, you giving me $10 again? Super chat, man. Enantial has been the most consistent person in my live stream since we started. Interesting insights. The narrative is really heating up. Thanks as always, Mike. Shout out to you, Enantial, man. You are the most consistent person in my streams so far. Thank you to that, man. I have some more questions here, guys. He's saying, apologies for confusing comment. Trying to understand in a simple form how collateralizing benefits users. Erik's explanation about desperation selling was, yeah, fantastic. Okay, good.
Is that a question? I mean, I went over that. It's like basically, look, I mean, the NFT, it's a hybrid market, right? Which means that there are benefits and drawbacks the same way there is with market selling and buying. But there are some mechanics in there that I think lead to enhancement of the project. Because so the benefits are that a user with a large amount of DragonX can exit without market selling. The benefit is a user can basically creates a secondary market for the asset. Yeah, and it has the potential to, well, it's basically, it's a store of value that's collateralized with DragonX and has the same deflationary properties as DragonX, and potentially has the potential to, I don't want to get into price, but like, if you think about it, if the price of DragonX goes up a lot, then it will be very hard to recompose an NFT. And it's really actually difficult to say whether it would be worth more or less than simply holding a DragonX position. But it could potentially be worth more, because it could be that these positions are a large enough amount of economic energy that people wouldn't want to decompose them. Which means that they would just sell at a premium. But I don't know. Like, again, it's an experiment, right?
All right. I mean, let me ask you this question though. I mean, we know for a fact, like, if you buy a Rolex, right? There's the listing price, which is,
Yep.
I don't know, whatever. Let's say, as an example, you have a listing price of 10K, and then there's a secondary market, and sometimes that price could be like 60,000 or 100,000. So how is this somewhat as creating a secondary market? Could we have some of this effect as well in there? Potentially. I mean, is this something which could happen?
Potentially. Yeah, potentially. I mean, the alternative could be that it's just not attractive to people. I'm just giving the drawbacks, right? Like, I don't want people to ape into this stuff. It's the same way with DragonX. Like, there's a reason why we gave you 2 weeks. Do research, like, but it could potentially trade at a premium to DragonX. It could also trade at a deficit to DragonX. So do your own research, but there are other benefits. Think about the benefits for yourself. Think about the game theory. There's more there, but you can think about it.
Lovely. So, I mean, here, this is a question, but this is more, I mean, if you know how technical things work, then this is not a big deal. But in secondary markets, it will be challenging when potential customers request the NFT to prove the item's originality. I don't know if it's
It
a
won't be
question.
difficult. No, it won't be difficult to do that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay. Like I'm always like I'm always talking as a developer. Sometimes I try not to be, so I'm trying to. This is not like a fake Rolex, which you cannot prove. I mean, there's like the listing price of a Rolex, and then there's a secondary market, and then there's like scammers who are trying to sell real fake Rolexes, and they're trying to tell you this is the real thing. Digitally, with cryptography, it's very easy to prove if that
Yeah.
thing exists. So there is no big deal about that, really.
No, I mean, I get what you're trying to say. I mean, the same problem might exist.
Okay, maybe I misunderstand something.
As
So DeFi,
creating a fake liquidity pool, right? Someone can create fake DragonX with a fake ERC20 just to get people to swap their TitanX into that pool, and then they can just pull out the DragonX. So like I don't even know. I don't know how feasible that is on like a market like OpenSea to create a fake NFT.
Oh,
But I mean, I would say you should probably check your.
that means there should be like contract address, which is like very easily verifiable, right? But I mean, there is obviously
from getting scammed. I mean, people have been doing DragonX. Guys, there's no DragonX migration. There's a bunch of scammers who are creating Telegram groups and ripping you off. Like some people are coming into the main DragonX chat, telling me that, oh, I went to go do the migration of DragonX and I lost all my money. Guys, what migration? I've never mentioned a migration. It's obviously a scam. Like so people are going to get scammed. It's unfortunate, but like you need to double check and read. Like it's money, guys. This is money.
Yes.
If you're going to do a transaction, clear your desk, clear all your distractions, close your other tabs, and perform the transaction. Okay? And if that, like, just quiet your mind and perform the transaction. Pay attention to all the numbers. Okay? Just think about it like you're trading your life savings every time you make a trade. Like it's a good discipline to get into.
Yeah.
I don't know if people have lost massive amounts of money, but to them it could be a lot, and it just sucks. Like it's so bad to see. I hate it. I think I was swearing last night about that in the Telegram chat. But please, guys, obviously, I think honestly these scammers they've gotten past like give me your seed phrase. Maybe that's not working anymore. Now they're using a fake DApp.
Yeah. With
permissions. I think the fake DApp is like getting people to actually mint DragonX, but it's just sending it to their own wallet. Be careful, guys. It's dragonx.win. Pay attention to the URL.
I'm gonna pull up the DragonX.win URL here, which is this one, guys. So I mean, this is the thing which is in crypto. It's just very sad. One of the things, the sad thing about crypto is, especially right now, as I'm getting a bit of a following, I'm getting a lot of DMs, and people clicked a wrong link. People thought they're gonna have an airdrop. They clicked that, and then they lost their money. Literally just today, 2 people have DM me. Like, I mean, like the last few weeks, there's several people who DM me, like in the Titan community. They clicked the wrong link. Oh, you can get 500 DragonX worth like for free. Click here now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like they're trying to get you to click something very quickly. They're using a lot of like psychology. and it's just so sad. And like I'm trying to find a way how to warn people, but it's so hard because imagine somebody was trying to use a particular bridge. I don't want to mention which bridge it is, and they searched it on Google, and the scammers were on the top of the Google search, and they clicked that link, and then well, obviously they lost their money. And they sent to me. They were like, "Hey, but the website just looks like the original one."
Yeah.
And this is essentially now the issue of like people just not understanding the technical things behind it. If a scammer wants, they can literally clone this site. It will look the same as you see right here. And if you click mint here on the wrong side, your TitanX is gone.
There's not a lot that can be done about that. You need to check the URL. You know, we could buy all the domains that we can afford with DragonX in them, but ultimately people can just have another URL there and some folks won't notice and they'll press the mint, right? So just be careful, guys. Be careful. But Mike, I do need to kind of wrap up soon, but I want to end on a high note.
Yes, let's do that, man. I mean, it's been going on today a little bit freestyle, so it has been going all over the place. But guys, Erik, tell us, man. We're wrapping up here, so give us some insights here, what we're looking for. Don't forget, guys. Today is the last day for your minting 1-to-1. We have 5 hours and 20 minutes. Just myself, after this call right here, I might or I might not do a mint myself. So I'm just saying. Erik, go ahead, man.
No, guys, I mean, I think DragonX has been awesome. I'm so happy for all of your support, and it's been really fun, guys. This is my first time like really being a public figure. I actually find it so awesome that like I can do a spaces and there's like 200 people joining me live in minutes, and then thousands of people are watching it after. That's so cool. I love that. I'm excited for all the things we're going to be building in the future on TitanX. Like you guys should be excited too. Don't worry about the low mints. Like I said, like the bind burns can just operate at replacement, guys. And what happens is the inflation never arrives later because people didn't mint. Think about that. So just be really optimistic for the future. It looks on the chart like no one has a crystal ball, but it looks like we're hitting a bottom. Like this is a great place to be in crypto right now. A really great place. You guys made a really good decision. And I feel the same way because I'm also a community member and a holder. So yeah, I think we should all be excited for the future. And I'm hoping to. I'm really, if Jake doesn't say it first, I'm hoping to basically to reveal our next thing. It's going to be great. It's going to be great for the whole ecosystem.
Lovely, guys. So guys, there you have it, guys. Erik, is there anything you want to say? It seems like you're stuck on my end, but I can still hear you. Okay, guys, I think we're cut off. Yeah, you're back again.
Where did I lose you guys?
I think it was just very few seconds, so like no big deal, Erik.
Okay, cool. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, great talking to you, Mike. I really appreciate it. It was fun, really fun.
Absolutely, guys. So, guys, there you have it. Erik has to go. As always, today was a bit more freestyle. I did not even put a timer on, and we are now 1 hour 38 minutes. Guys, Erik had a lot of offers, so don't forget there's new things coming up, and I'm kind of excited, guys. So there you have it, guys. Thank you very much, and thanks that you joined me, and see you next time.
Yep. Thank you, Mike.
Just 1 second.